You might think that you have to heal to have a happy life, but somehow healing is creating more suffering than when you were just blissfully ignorant. Healing isn't working for you because the focus is wrong. When you focus on finding problems within yourself and finding problems and diagnoses in yourself and other people, and when you focus on the question, how can I fix myself, then you will always feel broken. But when you shift your focus to creating an amazing and juicy and fulfilling life, then you won't feel so depressed and anxious and stagnant. In this video, you will discover the problem with healing and why I'm telling women in my community to stop it, how to heal without healing, and how to shift from healing to creating. In the current climate, everyone is talking about how you need to heal. You have to uncover all of your wounds and dig up all of your traumas, and that you need to do your shadow work. So you oblige and you begin doing this healing work, and it leaves you feeling victimized and drained and broken and depressed and anxious. It isolates you from your family and your friends. You become judgmental and think that everyone is evil and manipulative and narcissistic and that everyone is out to get you. And then no one ever tells you the next step. They make you feel like you always have to be in this perpetual state of healing, that you are just perpetually broken and that you need to heal before you ever have any interaction with another human again. So I've noticed in my clients and honestly just people around me that it digs up all of this stuff and just leaves you in this state of confusion and powerlessness and just feeling anxious and very fearful that all of these things are going to happen again, and depressed that all of these things have happened, and you're just focusing all of your energy and your attention on all the bad things that have happened to you in the past, right? So then you're anxious and you're scared to go out in the world and start creating the desires and the desired outcomes that you want for your life and that God has placed on your heart. So I'm proposing a new way, a shift, if you will, from healing to creating. When you're in the healing paradigm, then you're focused on everything that has gone wrong. You're depressed about the past, you're anxious about your future, and you're in a state of paralysis. But I'm here to tell you that you aren't the sum of every negative thing that has happened to you. And most times, this intense focus on healing will make you feel like you had the worst childhood ever. It literally makes your brain omit all of the good times because you aren't searching for those things. You're only searching for the things that may have victimized you or traumatized you or wounded you. You aren't searching for those good memories. You're searching for all of the bad things that happen and all the ways that your parents may have traumatized you and messed you up. It just makes you this bitter, judgmental, depressing person because all you're focused on and ever talking about is your healing and your wounds and your traumas, and it can become your identity if you're not careful. You're the spiritual healing person and you're judging everyone who hasn't healed yet or been to therapy, and you're putting yourself on a pedestal because you're healed and they aren't, or you're healing and you're doing the work, and it's just all ego. Oh my gosh. And then you start diagnosing people. I hate this, and I'm guilty as well. Everyone is a narcissist, everyone is abusive, and it creates this climate, and you can see this in the current cultural landscape, that where you just can't even be honest with people. You can't be honest, you can't tell the truth, and you have to beat around the bush and walk on eggshells, or else you be deemed a narcissistic, abusive person. There are studies that have been done that prove that using mental health terminology colloquially negatively affects communication and your relationships. Using words like anxiety and depression and bipolar and OCD and narcissism and ADHD, words that are actually mental health disorders and diagnoses, and even words like gaslighting. These are terms that are used to describe complex disorders and diseases, and using them just casually is very dangerous. And I've seen it also be weaponized and used to demonize otherwise healthy people. And it actually minimizes the experiences of people who actually have these complex disorders and they're actually ill. Also, another thing, using these terms casually and colloquially, just in regular conversation, like, oh, I'm being so OCD right now, or I feel so anxious, when really it's like, these are actual diseases and disorders. It's not like, oh, I'm feeling nervous. It's like, I'm feeling anxious. Then it actually normalizes illness. We're now an ill society because we have normalized illness and sickness. So much so that people actually have disorders and diseases in their bios, like ADHD, anxiety. They have all of these things in their bios, and it's becoming an identity for people. And when you're actually healthy and happy and abundant, it's like you're privileged in a way, or you're demonized for bragging when we're mostly supposed to be healthy. Like, these are very rare diseases and disorders, like less than, I don't know how much, I'm not even gonna make up a statistic, but only a small percentage of the population actually have these diseases and disorders. And when you are using these in diagnosing yourself and diagnosing other people, this person's a narcissist, and I have anxiety, I have ADHD, when you're claiming these illnesses and adding them as a part of your identity, it negatively affects society. It negatively affects communities. It negatively affects yourself and your own view of yourself. And I see this so many times with people who come to me and they're like, how can I do X, Y, and Z, whatever their desire is with ADHD? How can I do whatever this is with anxiety? How can I do all of these things with depression? And it hinders you because you're taking on these identities, and it gives you even more limitations and perceived limitations because you are taking on these things because it's becoming so normalized in society to have an illness and a disorder. Like, if you don't have anything or you don't claim anything, then you're the odd one out, if that makes any sense. You're the weird one for being healthy, which is not how it's supposed to be. We're all supposed to be healthy, and then maybe some people have diseases or disorders or illness. Like, not everyone needs to be healed. Not everyone is traumatized or wounded. And to paint this broad brushstroke like everyone has to be broken in some way is literally creating a sick and ill society like we have now. So we need to stop using these medical mental health diagnoses casually and allowing them into our normal conversations. So when people ask me these questions, like, how can I have this juicy, amazing relationship with this upbringing? Or how can I have this amazing, healthy body with diabetes running in my family? Or how can I have an amazing, successful business full of, my dream clients, my soul tribe with ADHD or anxiety or something like that? I always give them the same answer. Focus on your desire. And this is a hard truth that you may not want to hear, but I'm going to say it anyway. Everything that you have gone through, someone has already gone through it, overcame it, and succeeded anyway. Everything that feels like a limitation to you, someone has already overcome that and decided that they get to still have their God-given desires. There's someone who did not allow that thing to stop them from achieving whatever thing that they desired, whether that is a healthy relationship, even though they came from a broken home, or a healthy body, even though everyone in their family is unhealthy, or having an amazing business, even though they're the first person in their family to create a business. So you can allow whatever excuse, and yes, they are excuses, you can allow whatever excuse to stop you from being successful. But just know that there is someone who has already not only succeeded at that thing, but has used that thing, whatever the thing is, their upbringing, their diagnosis, their disability, their skin color, their race, their nationality, whatever the thing is, they have not only succeeded, but they have used that thing as fuel, as their hero's journey to show other people that they can do it too. I always get the question, don't you have to heal your wounds and your traumas? And I think yes and no. So when you have the focus on healing, then you can never actually heal because you have not yet overcome or integrated that lesson into your being. Every single thing that happens to us, I feel, is a test. And the test is to always choose love. So when you instead choose resentment or bitterness, and these aren't just fleeting feelings, right? This isn't just anger or sadness. These are heart postures. When your heart is closed off and your heart is hardened, then I wouldn't call that healing or healed. And what I see from people in the healing space, they are very bitter and resentful and judgmental, or they're very sad and weakened and victimized and powerless and depressed. And they haven't actually forgiven, which is what allows you to heal and reintegrate back into relationships and healthy relationships. And that's why they always stay in these spaces of healing for years. And they never actually reintegrate back into society and having healthy friendships and relationships and being able to attract and create all of the desires that they have on their heart. Honestly, they're still in victim mode. And I understand, especially when you may have had something traumatic that happened as a child and you were actually victimized. But I truly feel that it's a test. It's a test to show God, like, am I going to harden my heart and close off my heart from love and harden myself as a protective mechanism, or am I going to forgive other people, forgive myself, instead of using those things as honestly an excuse to harden your heart, an excuse to maybe even be mean to other people or abuse other people or victimize them and say, well, I was victimized. Instead of taking accountability for your actions, you might say, I grew up in this way, so that's why I'm emotionally erratic, or I had this type of upbringing, so that's why I'm mean or closed off to other people. It's like you are deflecting personal accountability. And that's something that you have to assume in order to evolve and ascend and grow into a better person. So I feel like you can only heal when you forgive and you gain that perspective. Once you forgive yourself and other people, which is easier said than done, I know. Once you feel and process and release those emotions of anger and sadness, and truly allow yourself to go through the process, and also release the emotions of guilt and shame. And that's a thing that's been coming up a lot for me personally and my clients, just being able to release those very low vibrational, not even gonna lie, low vibrational emotions of guilt and shame as well, and be able to still take inspired action towards creating your desires. Then that is what would look like being fully healed. But you can't get there when your focus is on healing, is on the past, is on all the bad things that happened to you. But I do see how people can get stuck in that constant cycle of feeling like they need to heal and feeling broken, and what I call the healing trap. Never feeling good enough, or never feeling worthy, or never feeling lovable. And I've said it before and I will say it again, you are not the sum of all of the negative experiences that have happened to you. You are a powerful creator of your reality. And when you shift your focus and take back autonomy over your life, then you will begin to gain the clarity that you need to move forward, to start creating your desired outcomes, to attract the people that you desire to you, to align yourself to mentors and coaches and people who can elevate you to that next level, to join communities and attract people who are in alignment with the highest version and the highest potential of your being. But you have to go first. You have to get out of the victim mentality of this is happening to me and step into your powerful creation energy, which is this is happening for me. How can I use this experience to evolve, to grow, to ascend, to rise? That is literally the hero's journey. That's the foundation of all movies. We love seeing heroes' journeys, and you can literally create your own hero's journey and inspire and motivate people who don't even know you or even the people around you. Deciding to become, I feel like, is the reason for living, for existing, to come back to yourself, to come back to home, to come back to your knowing and your powerful identity as a creator of your own reality, and to start doing life instead of letting life do you. And this is really the foundation of inner work and just the spiritual journey, choosing love, choosing to love God and love yourself and love your neighbor, choosing to forgive and to overcome and to create. Despite all the challenges that are presented to you, you always overcome. And that is the identity that you have to assume in order to be healed, right? In order to actually have these abundant spiritual outcomes in your life. Because I see that a lot. It's like, I'm a spiritual person. But if you are truly a spiritual person and you're connected to God and you are one with the earth and, this spiritual abundant person, then you should be having abundant spiritual outcomes in your life. You should be having money in abundance in your life. You should be having gratitude and love and happiness in your life. You should be having healthy relationships in your life. You should be having a healthy body. And it all starts with assuming that identity and taking that accountability and knowing who you are. And honestly, for me, knowing who I was started with knowing who God was, right? So God is God. He's the source. He's our one creator. So in the Bible, I'm just going to touch on this for a second because this changed my life. In the Bible, God created creation. So he created the universe and the stars and the planets and the moon, and then he created creatures. So he created dogs and cats and cows and pigs and butterflies and all the creepy crawly things. And then he created creators. He created us. He created us in his image to have dominion over the earth, to create all of our desires, to be creative and be in our creation energy. When you tap into yourself and tap into your soul and tap into your knowing instead of the doing and the thinking, when you tap into your knowing and your being, you realize that you are a soul and you were placed here on this earth for a reason. So instead of asking disempowered questions, realize your power and ask empowering questions. Like, what do I actually want to happen in my life? I always ask my clients this. This is like my favorite question. If anything was possible, which it is, what outcomes would you create in your life? And it's so crazy because so many people have not even allowed themselves to ask these empowering questions. They haven't even allowed themselves to dream, to visualize, to manifest, to create and be in their creation energy. Instead, they are so attached to their thoughts. And I'm going to make a video about this. They're so attached to their thoughts and to their memories, which literally the past only exists in your head. It's not real. It's not a real thing. And I actually learned from my spiritual mentor that we don't remember things accurately. Our memories are literally tainted through the filter of our emotions. So if something was very intense as a child, like I remember growing up, I always felt left out. So I remember always feeling like I was just a nuisance. I was annoying. I was a burden. No one wanted to be around me. When honestly, it was like I was just a young kid. I was just an annoying kid, and not everyone wanted to drag me around with them to everything that they did. But as an adult, I could take on that identity now and make it mean that I am unloved and I am unworthy and I am abandoned and I'm a nuisance and annoying and people don't like me. And I can create this whole identity around these experiences. So from my 7-year-old perspective, this could have felt like trauma or a wounding. But as an adult, I might be like now that I have a different perspective, I can look back and be like, oh, I was just an annoying kid and they didn't want to drag me around with them everywhere. So when we are too attached to our memories, we can create stories that end up becoming our identity. We become this character as opposed to being the being behind this meat suit. Like we are now a character and we're playing this character in our everyday world. And even people who might have just met you, you're still presenting yourself as such. You might be presenting yourself as unworthy. You might be presenting yourself as left out or the black sheep, or you might be presenting yourself in a way that if you weren't assuming this character and this identity, you would be able to show up differently in this world. So now I honestly question all of my memories. But even if I felt like something was very sad or hurtful to me, I just comfort that younger part of myself. I comfort that inner child who was hurt at that time. And I do that through some of the meditations that I have in my programs. It's okay to comfort that inner child and let her know that it's okay, or let him know that it's okay, and that things get better and that you're this amazing person now. Everything that happens for a reason. And it's meant, like I said before, it's meant for you to overcome. It's meant for you to use these things to shape you and mold you into this amazing person. It's like sometimes we want to be this strong, resilient person, but we don't want any conflicts. We don't want any obstacles. We don't want anything that will actually make us, overcome and jump and be strong and be disciplined. It's like you need these obstacles to become the person that you're meant to be. So you cannot fold with these obstacles. You have to overcome them and choose to still be the amazing being that you are. So of course you can do the meditations and, use like my 5-step process, use that to quickly, up level and rewire your subconscious mind. But don't stay in that place of like, I'm healing. I have to heal for 10 years before I get to have my desires, because that is a lie. You get to have those things right now. You might need, a few months to regroup, but don't wait years trying to heal yourself or feeling broken. So through this process and spending years on healing, I learned not to attach myself to these identities, not depressed, not anxious, not any of these things that could limit me, that could add on. We already have so many limitations from our parents and stuff. Like, why add on diagnoses and limitations and identities that you don't have to assume? You're choosing to assume these identities and allow them to be limitations for you. And also just any other identity, your gender, your nationality, your race, even religion. Like I'm a Christian, I follow Christ, but I don't even allow myself to get attached and plugged in too deeply to any certain identity, because all of these identities come with limitations of the group that they might try to place on you. So they might have some limitations about women or some limitations about whatever religion. It's like when you attach yourself too deeply to any of these identities, you allow these limitations to be placed on you when really you are a limitless soul on this earth that can do whatever you want to. So through learning detachment and things like that, like these spiritual being practices, I've learned not to attach myself too deeply to any identity that limits my identity other than being a child of God, other than being a soul under Christ and being able to do all of the things that He has enabled me to do as His child. So don't put any identities or limitations on your soul or your being, because you have none unless it is your own perceived limitations. So I just want to touch on this just for a second, but for things that are actually like traumatizing, like childhood sexual abuse or something like that, they have different modalities, healing modalities that help you process these things through your body. Because if not, then you will have trapped trauma in your body, trapped and stuck emotions, right? So using things like EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, things like that are very good for like trauma that's like trauma, right? But always like consult a professional for what would be the best modality for you to use. So there are different modalities that help you process trapped and stuck trauma and emotions in the body. But this is gonna be controversial. I do not recommend talk therapy, and it's because you can get caught in the cycle of ruminating and complaining and just stuck on the past and feeling victimized. And as I've gotten into coaching and mentorship, I've realized that there's just a different lens that coaches or even just people with empowered thinking view their past circumstances. It's a completely different mindset. My mentors, which are much older than me, have gone through a lot in the past, like most of us have. But like I said before, instead of viewing something as X, Y, and Z happened to me, they view things as this happened for me, or it happened for me to overcome it, or it happened as a part of my journey, and how can I learn and integrate this lesson into my being? And it's the law of polarity, right? It's like the worst thing that could have happened to you can also be the best thing that could have happened to you. They may have had to endure abuse or injustice and unfair circumstances, but now they're able to help thousands of other people who came from a similar background do their inner work and overcome and still get to have all of their desires, whether it's an amazing business or an amazing, juicy, healthy relationship. They get to help other people overcome through their trials and their story. It's not even just overcome that thing or in spite of that thing, but it's because of that thing. It's because of that difficult thing that happened to them in the past that they are able to help people from their own personal story and their own personal angle. So, to heal without healing. To heal, you literally have to stop healing. You have to shift your focus from the past and looking for problems and looking for problems in other people and diagnoses, and shift your energy and your focus to your desires. Place all of your energy on creating and detaching and manifesting and visualizing and aligning to your desired outcomes. And this allows you to tap into those emotions of excitement and anticipation and joy and bliss, and that allows you to have more energy, to have the actual energy to take inspired and aligned action towards creating those desires. So I created a 5-step process that shifts you from your healing energy to your creation energy. This way you're able to quickly resolve all of your perceived limitations and instead shift your focus and your energy to creating. So it goes like this. You start to visualize and create and manifest your desires. And then your subconscious goes, nope, you cannot have this because of insert random childhood memory that you thought you forgot, but is the reason why your subconscious is trying to protect you from this thing, and this is why you can't have this desire. Then we quickly rewire your subconscious mind and rewire your brain so it knows that this thing is safe. Having money is safe. Being in a healthy relationship is safe. Love is safe. Relationships are safe. Having a juicy, heart-led, soul-led business is safe, because your subconscious is just trying to protect you, right? It's not trying to sabotage you. It's trying to keep you safe. So once you go through this process, then you're able to take massive, inspired, and aligned action without fear and anxiety and procrastination and doubt and all of this resistance and all these limitations. So that is how to heal without actually healing. It'll seem like you're magically healed, but you don't have to go through that long, strenuous process of digging up all of your past and talking about it for years in therapy. And then you're able to take this inspired action and have all of these abundant outcomes in your life. So if you want me to take you through the full 5-step process, then I'll leave the link down below to my 3-day mindset mastery training. I'm only leaving it up for a short, limited time on YouTube, and then I'm taking it down to place in my mindset mastery membership. So go and watch it now while it's still up.